Welcome to this week's edition of Fridays at 5. This week we're going to be discussing a whole host of issues, from the news that's coming out of our state's capital to our business affiliates, from what our legislative affairs team is doing to defend your 2A rights here in the state, and how you at home can work with us to help stop that anti-Second Amendment legislation here in the Golden State. But first, let me toss over to Heather Allen to highlight some of our new business affiliates on the Central Coast.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Last week I was fortunate enough to take a trip up the coast where I was able to visit almost 40 gun shops. And today I'd like to highlight one that really stood out to me, and that is Dan's Outfitters and Gun Shop in Paso Robles. It's actually on Paso Robles Street, so it's really easy to remember. When you walk into Dan's Outfitters, you feel like you're in this big lodge. There's this really cool cowhide table, and when I sat down in these big cow chairs, I did not want to get up. I didn't want to leave Dan's Outfitters, and you're not going to want to leave either. He had an excellent selection of firearms, and you could tell he really put a lot of thought into his shop. Just everything that he placed was just perfect. So definitely want to check out Dan's Outfitters in Paso Robles, and while you're at it, you can check out the A to Z Foundation, which is a charity that's very near and dear to Dan's heart. They do a lot with veterans, and actually Dan, he just closed his shop last weekend to take 3 veteran sons hunting for the first time. So it's really great. You want to support them as much as we can. And that is a wrap. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Heather. News from Sacramento this week is, if you think gun laws have been crazy, oh, they've been crazy for a long time in California. In fact, all the way back to 1923, when our wonderful state legislature back then said, hey, you know what, you can have a gun store, but you can't put a picture of a gun inside the window because, ooh, somebody might get the wrong impression. Finally, of all people, an Obama-era appointed judge actually struck that down on a violation of the First Amendment. The government may not restrict speech that persuades adults who are neither criminals nor suffer from mental illness from purchasing a legal and constitutionally protected product. Who'd have thunk it? Finally, somebody realizes not only was the Tom Cruise movie of trying to bust people in the future stupid, so is a law that automatically says you might be guilty, so let's restrict those rights in the future. Thankfully, Judge Nunley saw this the right way. It is important that we continue to push back not just in the anti-gun legislation that is being approached, but on things that have happened in the past and undo that and regain our ground. And we cannot do that without your support. One of the pride and joys of being the executive director for you and the California Rifle Pistol Association is to highlight our team of people that work. And on Fridays at 5, we're going to start doing that. And I'm very proud this Friday to introduce our legislative affairs team that works tirelessly inside Sacramento. So here is Roy and Nick to talk about what they do and do so well. Roy?
Well, thanks, Rick. We just wanted to take a minute to introduce your lobby team who's fighting for you in Sacramento. I'm Roy Griffith. Many of you know me, background from working as game warden, law enforcement 32 years, and then taking over my role at the Capitol pretty much just because 32 years I had the man tell me what I can say and couldn't say, and now I get to work in an organization where I get to say what I believe and what I hope all of you believe. And I really want to take a minute to introduce our newest member of the family, Mr. Nick Villa, who I've worked with many years with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. And Nick brings science-based to our fight now. He's been a biologist for many years, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick.
Well, like Roy, I'm a veteran of 33 years from the Department of Fish and Game then. Been retired for a number of years and brought out of retirement at the request of Roy and Rick, and I'm just more than happy to join the team. Like Roy said, I'm bringing science and biology into the fold and hope to use that experience to help further the cause of the organization. So I'm really looking forward to being part of the team and getting something done for a change.
Well, today as we stand here, you know, we're still facing, the battle's not over. We've got 5 significant bills on the governor's desk that we've submitted veto letters on your behalf. Those same stuff we've been fighting for years on end, the 1 gun a month, the newest thing they want to try, the age restricting individuals 18 to 21 years of age from purchasing a firearm, you know. At that age, we let people vote in this country. We let them go to war and risk their lives for this country, but we're not going to allow them to buy an 870 shotgun and go out and recreate and hunt or shoot. So we have concerns, and we're fighting for you. We've got some victories. the governor signed AB 2151, our fight for years to make hunting more affordable for all Californians youth. That's the bill that's going to make an elk tag now in California from what we've been paying for our youth, $450 to just $20. So huge victory. That same reduction will take place for bear and bighorn sheep and antelope if your child is fortunate enough to put in for those. So please take advantage of those opportunities this next year and make sure you put your kids in for those hunts. We have other victories. We beat some nonsense where they want to take on law enforcement this year. Weber's bill, AB 931, that attempt to pretty much make an officer not be able to use deadly force unless a gun was put to his or her head. Just crazy stuff they come up with in this building as our law enforcement officers are under assault in this country and in this nation. So we're fighting for you. We're fighting for law enforcement. We're fighting for hunters, and we're fighting for your Second Amendment rights. So please keep supporting us. Stay tuned. We need your help. We need your calls into these assembly members. What really matters, what really gets their ears peaked up is when their individual voting constituents call them. We can make noise all day long in the Capitol, Nick and I, but what gets their attention is the folks who are going to vote them in or out of those offices, light them up. So please continue to support us. Stay tuned to the CRPA channel for status on these bills that I mentioned. Obviously, the governor has till the end of this month to veto or sign them. So we're going to keep the pressure on and keep fighting for you. Thanks. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Roy and Nick. I've told you in previous episodes how anti-gun action in California eventually translates to across the country. And many people are like, prove it. Well, this cannot be seen any more clearly than in New Mexico. Albuquerque's Democratic mayor has canceled his city's contract, get this, with the NRA and their police shooting championships that went on for decades. He called that this is not a good fit for his city, despite it's one of the things that improves the morale of the police officers and the union itself supporting this event. This is a direct corollary to show you that the tactics that are being used to battle for the Del Mar Gun Show, for the Daly City Gun Show, are now spreading across the country. So for those of you who think you're going to pack up and get away from it, you're not going to New Mexico, and this is just one example of many states are trying to copy the tactics used in this state, which is why we need you to support us in stopping these no matter what it takes. This is the battle line for America's Constitution and its freedoms. I have been going for the last year up and down the state, talking to people like yourself and any other group that we can to tell them how critical midterm elections are. And these elections are critical. The fate of this state and very well the nation could depend on what happens that first week in November. We are only 46 days away from Election Day. I'm encouraging you to make sure you oppose anybody in the House, the Senate, in the Assembly, in our state Senate, and all the way down to your local dog catcher who is not pro-2A. We cannot let them happen. We cannot let them get across the line. We need your help to make sure that all of your pro-2A family and friends are registered and ready to vote. Please click the link in this video to register to vote. And be sure to tell all your friends to register as well. And stay on top of them. You don't know how many 2A supporters that I'll say, hey, did you vote? And they're like, oh, was that yesterday? We need to make sure we get everybody there. If you had to blow a day of vacation, blow it. But make sure people vote. We are fighting for what our forefathers gave us. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fridays at 5. For more great 2A content, follow us on social media where we're posting daily. Check out the links in the description down below. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube to CRPA TV and ring the notification bell to make sure you never miss our updates. Thanks for watching. Spread the news. Get out there and get your friends to vote. And be sure to tune in next week.